This work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. Madam Clerk.
In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this work session regular meeting of the Franklin Township Council was made by the posting on the front doors of the municipal building, posted on the Township's website, and electronically transmitted to the officially designated newspapers, indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place via WebEx at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, March 9th, 2021.
Thank you. If we could recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilman Amberson, could you please lead us in the invocation?
Thank you, Mayor. As we gather here today as members of the Township Council, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Madam Master Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Here.
Councilman Chase?
Here.
Councilwoman Francois?
Here.
Mayor Kramer?
Here.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Pruitt?
Here.
Councilwoman Udine?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Vassanella?
Here.
Councilman Wright?
Here.
Item number 5, commendations and proclamations. Women's History Month proclamation. Councilwoman Udine, could you please read it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Each year, Women's History Month offers an important opportunity for us to shine a light on the extraordinary legacy of trailblazing American women and girls who have built, shaped, and improved upon our nation. And throughout American history, women and girls have made vital contributions, often in the face of discrimination and undue hardship. Courageous women marched for and won the right to vote, campaigned against injustice, shattered countless barriers, and expanded the possibilities of American life. Our history is also replete with examples of the unfailing bravery and grit of women in America, particularly in times of crisis and emergency. Women served our nation during World War II, led organizing and legislation efforts during the Civil Rights Movement, and represented the United States on the global stage in the fight for human rights, peace, and security. Far too often, their heroic efforts and their stories have gone untold, especially the millions of Black women, immigrant women, and others from diverse communities who have strained America across every generation. In our current moment of crisis, women continue to lead, from vaccine researchers to public health officials to the countless heroines on the front lines. Women are working around the clock to defeat COVID-19. Women, and particularly women of color, also make up the majority of America's essential workers, including educators and child care providers, grocery store workers, farm workers, and others who are keeping our families, our communities, and our country afloat. This year also marked an historic milestone of women's leadership, 232 years in the making, with the inauguration of America's first woman vice president. During Women's History Month, let us honor the accomplished visionary women who have helped build our country, including those whose contributions have been adequately recognized and celebrated. And let us pay tribute to the trailblazers from the recent and distant past for daring to envision a future for which no past person existed, and for building a nation of endless possibilities for all of its women and girls. Now, therefore, we, Councilwoman Kimberly Francis, Crystal Pruitt, and Shipa Udine, on behalf of the mayor and the council of the Township of Franklin, Somerset County, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim March 2021 as Women's History Month in Franklin Township and honors the theme, Valiant Women of the Vote, refusing to be silenced, by urging the residents of the Franklin Township to take this special opportunity to recognize and reflect on the progress made to advance women's equality, to take stock of the challenges facing women today, and celebrate the gains made by the women in our society.
Thank you. We are now on to item number 6, public discussion. Do we have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are open to the public. Each person may speak for 3 minutes. No yielding of time. You may only speak once. Please state your name and address. Mr. McQueen.
Yes, anybody from the public wishing to speak, we ask that you use the chat function, raised hand feature, or *3 if you're dialed in by phone. Again, if you would like to speak, we ask that you use the chat function, raised hand feature, or *3. Mr. Mayor, I do not see anybody indicating they would like to speak at this time.
I concur. There's 5 people on and none of them have done as you suggested. Do we have a motion to close public session?
So move.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of closing public session, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We're on to council reports. I'll do it again in screen order. It'll be Councilman Onijaka, Councilwoman Pruitt, Councilman Bassanella, Councilwoman Kimberly Francois, Councilman Ambasarian, Councilwoman Udine, Councilman Chase, and Councilman Wright. Actually, Deputy Mayor Bassanella will go last in that order. Councilman Onijaka.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor. I know it's too early now to fix some of the potholes, but we have 2 big potholes in Cutler U, which has been punching. They have been punching individual tires. But I have 2 complaints. The tires were punched that road on Cutler, especially at night. So this has been happening constantly. So please, I want to use this opportunity to suggest to individuals, mostly at night, if they're traveling at night, they should be very careful of those 2 potholes. It's a big problem now. That is what I have for this night. It's just a warning that people should be very careful on Cudley. We have 2 big spots which have been punching tires recently. I know this is not the time to fix holes, but I just want to let them know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Crystal Pruitt.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I haven't too much to report out. I had a senior advisory meeting. We discussed getting the information out to seniors when it comes to vaccine appointments and the difficulties in connecting with seniors who don't have access to computers or have more modern mobile phones. We've had those discussions, as well as discussing the fact that the county has expanded its transportation for seniors to allow for more trips, not necessarily just straight medical trips. We also had an advisory board of health I do want to report out some information from the county health department, or rather our health department. When it comes to vaccinations, they are pushing out about in the high 90s, high 90% of first doses. So of the doses that they are getting from the state, they are able to administer the vast majority of them. They're still only getting about 700 this week. This does not reflect the vaccination center at First Baptist, as that's FEMA, and that's different. And as far as things like restaurants and housing inspections, I can report that the health department was able to meet its state minimum inspection requirements despite the pandemic. So they have been out there doing the inspections that they can be doing. And that is it for actual council reports. I just remind everyone, as it is getting warmer and the weather is getting nicer and we're tempted to go outside, that, you know, still be really mindful, wear your mask. If you haven't done so, please, you know, register with the state vaccine appointment center and check out the local vaccination centers, such as like the Edison mega site and anything that's close to you, as, you know, fingers crossed with the advancement in the approval of the one shot. Hopefully things will start really moving for people. So just continue to be safe and, you know, take care of yourselves and each other. And that is all I have to report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
I have nothing to report, Mr. Mayor. There haven't been any committee meetings that I've attended. Thank you.
So far, that's my favorite report. Councilman Ram Ambasarian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a very short report today. We did have a HRC meeting on the 21st. Erica Incencio was our special speaker. Listen, there's some sort of an echo. Anyway.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, if everybody else could mute when they're not speaking, that would help. We are getting feedback from other council members who are not muted.
All right. Thank you, Bob. That sounds much better. So I did attend a Public Works Committee meeting just a few minutes ago. I will leave it up to my senior council members to report out on that. We have, I just want to let everyone know that our public safety director was the keynote speaker at a Black Caucus meeting at the county level, which was a fundraiser for upcoming leaders in the young leaders in the Black community. It was a very inspirational speech, and it was a great recognition for the Franklin Township itself for recognizing the need to promote and support the Black community. So that was a good meeting, a nice job by the Public Safety Director's approval. Other than that, I think I have another HRC meeting later on in the month. Our new Recreation Director, Beatrice, would be our keynote guest speaker for that meeting. Other than that, I do not have anything more. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Shipa Udine.
Thank you. I do not have much to report on besides working with Bob Vernlocker on just some of the pothole issues that have been popping up. So that's pretty much taken a majority of my week.
Okay, thank you. And Councilman Ted Chase. You're muted, Councilman.
We just had a public works meeting basically beginning to decide on what streets to pave this year, but the engineering staff who go out and rate the streets are not finished with this year's rating of the streets. So we'll be revisiting this at the next Public Works meeting. And of course, there are a number of streets that will be paved this spring out of 2020 money. So those will be the first streets to go ahead, and a few that the water department has worked on will be paved soon. But next meeting, I should be able to be a little more definitive on streets, and I guess I'll leave land use to Councilman Wright. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That cues up Councilman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Chase. In our land use meeting, we had a lot of discussion, but this is what we wanted to do. We discussed the potential open space acquisition, which will be discussed in executive session since there are negotiations. That's what we'll be going in on later on this evening. Other than that, I, like Councilman Kimberly Francois, nothing for him.
Great. My second favorite council comment. And now the illustrious Deputy Mayor James Vassanella.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to add a little bit on to Councilman Chase's comments about Public Works. What we will be doing as a town this year as Public Works Department, Water Department, is doing a township-wide water master plan. On average, probably every 10 to 15 years, we take a look at everything about our water system so we can get a better understanding of maintenance and upgrade needs that will play out over the next decade. It's vital to obviously keeping consistent and high quality water infrastructure. And also it has a lot to do with our road repaving, because obviously if we're going to be doing major water improvements on a street, we want to understand how that plays into a repaving schedule. And a lot of our water system, not a lot, but a good amount in the area of our town are up 50, 60, 70 years. And a lot of the components have 50-year lifespans. So it's very important that we complete that plan this year and then take action as needed as it dictates going forward. This year it is going to be a little tight on road resurfacing, road repaving. We normally, most of the last decade, we've allocated approximately 2.5 million. If the budget passes as planned, it will be knocked down to about 2 million this year, but we are working diligently. In the next couple months, the Public Works Committee will present a plan to hopefully a unanimous plan coming from that committee as far as what roads will be done. If we fall a little bit behind, hopefully we'll be able to make up 2022 and keep on track with our roads, the standards that we want to keep our roads. We did have an economic development meeting. I don't have any minutes from it. So perhaps we'll report on that next meeting. And as Councilman Wright mentioned, we had land use. I want to welcome Councilwoman Dean to, well, I don't know officially, I think we'll do it later in our meeting, but to our Public Works Committee and Land Use Committee and many other assignments that Councilman Will had that look forward to working with her on those committees going forward. That's pretty much it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I was going to go over the CDC guidelines for if you've been vaccinated, what you can do. I'll do it very briefly. So if you're fully vaccinated and you want to meet with other people who are fully vaccinated, you can do that indoors without wearing a mask. you can visit unvaccinated people in a single household who are at low risk without wearing a mask. And if you are exposed to people who have been, if you're exposed to someone who has COVID and you are asymptomatic, you don't have to quarantine and you don't have to get testing. If you're outside in large groups, you still should wear a mask, even if you've been vaccinated. You need to practice physical distancing from people who are at high risk. And you should wear a mask around people with high risk. So if you've been vaccinated but grandma hasn't, you need to follow all the rules that you've been following. Get tested if you have symptoms, follow the guidance of your employers, and follow CDC and health department travel requirements and recommendations, which I guess we'll have to look into further. Other than that, try to stay safe. The vaccines are coming. They're coming out slowly. I know it's frustrating. I'm not thrilled with the way it's been rolled out, but it's what we have when you have 6 million people wanting to be vaccinated and you get 100,000 doses a week. Be patient and we will get there. That is all I have, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to touch on one topic tonight that has already been the theme of several council reports, and that's potholes, 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 potholes. It is the season for potholes. We know that. There is a pothole crew out to repair potholes every day from the Public Works Department. And I just want to, I'll share my screen here quickly and just show, if you have internet access and you are watching us right now on the internet or on a recording of this meeting later, this is the township website, www.franklintwpnj.org. On the main page of our website, in the middle here, report a pothole street issue. Click on that button. And this will tell you, one, if you know that the road is a state highway or a county road, there are links to those particular jurisdictions to report the pothole on their website so that it gets reported in a timely fashion. If it is a township street, fill out this form as best you can. The starred ones have to be filled in: street name, nearest cross street or a landmark, and the issue reporting. And it doesn't have to be a pothole. If there are other issues in the road, a sign problem, a street sign, a traffic light, a dead deer, whatever, and a space for comments and your email address, and hit submit. That goes to several locations. The most important place that it goes is to the Public Works Department, who creates a work order for each submission of those forms. It also goes to me so that I know that all of those potholes are being handled by the Public Works Department, kind of as a check and balance. So if you have one, if you drive a regular route every day and there's a pothole on the street that you take to get to the store or to work, go to our website, report it, and the response time is usually within a couple days based on volume. They're out every day, Monday through Friday, patching potholes. And Mr. Hauk, our Public Works Manager, in our Public Works meeting today reported that in the last 3 weeks, about 1,500 potholes have been filled. So when they get a report of one on a street, they check the entire street and fill any that they might find. So please report them. That's the best way to get it repaired, and it's beneficial to us to get them filled so that they don't get worse. So we want you to report them, so please do. And that's really all I have today, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you. I'd like to report Grouser Road. The entire road is a big pothole.
And it is on the list of recommended roads to be paved.
That was a hint. Okay.
Coming to a meeting soon.
Terrific. There are no council discussion items. We are on to approval of the minutes. I present the following minutes to the Township Council for approval. Township Council work session, regular meeting, February 23rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. and the Township Council budget hearing on March 2nd, 2021 at 7 PM. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, any corrections? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Embarrasson,
Yes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vasanella, Councilman Wright.
Okay, we are on to approval of the minutes. I'm sorry, of the warrants. Warrants is the way we pay our bills. Warrants in the amount of $3,839,002.20 on March 9th, 2021 are presented to Township Council for payment. Do I have a motion on the warrants?
I move that the warrants as read be paid.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone would like to pull an item? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Embarrasson,
Yes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, we are now on to the public hearing and adoption of ordinances on second reading. Ordinance number 4338-21, an ordinance to amend the municipal code, chapter 226, vehicles and traffic, more particularly code section 226-13, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets. Those streets are Summerfields, is presented for a public hearing and final adoption. The public hearing has been noticed as required. Do we have a motion to open to the public?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved. Second.
So that was moved and seconded. All in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion is carried. We are now open to the public on this item only, limited to 3 minutes. State your name and address. Mr. McQueen.
Yes, anybody from the public wishing to speak, please use the chat function, raise hand feature, or if you're dialed in by phone, *3. Again, anybody wishing to speak on this ordinance, use the chat function, raise hand feature, or *3 if you're dialed in by phone. Mr. Mayor, I do not see anybody indicating they would like to speak.
I concur. Do we have a motion to close public session?
So moved to close public session.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of closing public session, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Public session is closed. Do we have a motion on the item?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the item? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Embarrasson,
Yes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
So it is law. Ordinances on introduction and first reading, we have none. The consent agenda, this is government at its finest with the world's shortest consent agenda. Government doing little or nothing is a wonderful thing. The items A through C as listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting are presented to Township Council for adoption. A through C. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone want to pull an item or discuss an item? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Embarrasson,
Yes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay. There are no resolutions to be voted on separately. We are now on to old business and boards, committees, and commissions and vacancies. Does anyone have a nomination?
I would like to nominate Alex Kuzma for the Cultural Arts Committee.
Alex Kuzma for the Cultural Arts Committee. We certainly have openings there. Are there any other nominations for the Cultural Arts Committee? Hearing none, we can do this by acclamation. All in favor of Alex Kuzma for Cultural Arts, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Congratulations, Mr. Kuzma. Any other nominations? Mr. Ambasarian.
Not at this moment, Mayor.
Okay. Thought you had one. All right. Very good. Any other nominations? Hearing none. Old business, item B, vacancies for former Councilman Galtieri's seat. I would like to nominate the new Councilwoman Adine, for the Land Use Standing Committee, the Public Works Standing Committee, the IT Steering Committee, the Municipal Wastewater Management Planning Committee, and the Fire Prevention Board. Does anyone want to nominate anyone else for these positions? Any of these positions?
I move that the nominations be closed.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
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 Aye. Nominations are closed. Do we need to do this? We can do this by acclamation. All in favor of the above nomination, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Condolences, Councilwoman Udine. Much work to do. I'm sure you'll be great. So that concludes the main business of the council, at least the public business of the council. The next item is the executive session. Authorize executive session, potential open space acquisition or preservation on Copper Mine Road, potential open space donation Route 27, and FMBA contract negotiations is presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. So we were going to go into executive session. There's going to be no business afterwards. Council will take no action after executive session. So we will be stopping the Zoom meeting